What could be worse than facing life in prison for something you insist you didn't do? Well, much worse is knowing that your own children put you there. Tonight, a father, a decorated police officer, accused of a heinous crime. But did he do it? And if not, did someone put his children up to telling a lie?
In the early 1980s, the country moved to a disco beat. In Vancouver, Washington, motorcycle patrolman Ray Spencer had some moves of his own. He was a young officer with a wife and 2 children to protect. But the movie star handsome police officer also had something else, a reputation.
He was an arrogant, macho womanizer. Nobody really liked him because he was such a jerk when he was a police officer.
Ray's weakness was blonde women, fully figured blonde women.
It was a weakness Ray indulged and his wife Deanne painfully endured.
There were many times that there were other women.
I liked women, and I can't change that. That's who I was.
Would you have called yourself a womanizer?
Yes, I would.
Were you a good husband?
I felt I was, and I mean, other than that, I mean,
It's a pretty big that.
It is a big thing, yeah. Deanne had decided that she'd had enough.
It's not so much the rage and anger that I had, but I don't believe anything that was ever said to me was the truth.
They divorced in 1981, and Deanne took the children, 5-year-old Matt and 2-year-old Katie, and headed south to Sacramento, leaving Ray behind in Clark County. It was hard on both the children and Ray, who may have struck out as a husband but hit a home run as a dad.
I always wanted to be the father, but I never had. They were my world.
Decades later, Matt and Katie still remember how much they missed the early days of fun with their father.
I remember fishing, and I remember picking blackberries. Just kind of happy things that we did.
What about you, Matt?
I mean, he taught me how to fish, he taught me how to shoot. It was like we were just about to get to that point where we were going to really bond as father and son, and then all of a sudden it was just gone.
The time with their dad became severely limited.
6 weeks in the summer, 1 week every other Christmas. That was a difficult time for me.
Ray says he put a good front on for the kids, but turned for solace where he always had, to women. In 1983, 2 years after his divorce, Ray married Shirley Hansen. Shirley had a 3-year-old son of her own, nicknamed Little Matt. She was familiar with the signals children send out, and on one visit, Ray's daughter Katie gave her an alarming one, suggesting she was being inappropriately fondled.
What Katie had said was, Daddy does it to her. Now, my assumption was Daddy was a boyfriend that the children's mother was hooked up with.
5-year-olds don't all of a sudden say, somebody's touching me in my private parts.
Mm-hmm. I called the Sheriff's Department in Clark County, also called the Sacramento County Sheriffs and Child Protective Services in California.
California authorities dropped the case after investigating and finding no evidence of abuse. But it was a different story in Clark County, Washington. Authorities there dug in, and Ray's children were repeatedly interrogated by Detective Sharon Krause.
Do you remember the first time police came and questioned you about any inappropriate behavior toward you?
I don't remember that first time. So.
And it felt like a couple months. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but it was definitely a little while they had with the same questioning.
8-year-old Matt denied any abuse, but ultimately 5-year-old Katie gave up tales of being repeatedly raped. More shocking than that, she said the man who did it was her own father, Ray.
Who actually said to you, we're investigating you, you are the target?
Right. Sergeant Davidson and Detective Sharon Krause from the Clark County Sheriff's Department.
What was your reaction?
I said, you must be crazy. I said, I'm the one who reported this. Well, you know, you're the suspect in this.
In January of 1985, less than a year after he'd first notified authorities, Ray Spencer was charged with one of the most vile crimes imaginable, raping his own daughter.
At that point, I could step out of my life and watch it spiral out of control.
The once cocky motorcycle cop was fired from his job, separated from his second wife Shirley Spencer, and reduced to living in this motel, which became the scene of the next shock in the downward drama. After they separated, Shirley Spencer asked if her son Little Matt could spend a night with Ray at the motel. Ray agreed, and days later he was arrested and charged with raping Little Matt.
And I'm thinking, this just can't be happening.
Then the final blow. After 8 months of denying he'd been abused, Ray's son Matt said his father did the same thing to him. Now 3 children had accused Ray.
You know, I was starting at that point to question my own sanity.
You wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah. I spent about 2 weeks in Oregon Health Science University Hospital, their psych ward, diagnosed with severe clinical depression.
Do you think you were that depressed because nobody believed you were innocent? Or because you were worried perhaps what they're saying is true?
How many accusations does it take before you begin to believe you are a monster? Ray reached the point where he wondered if he had suppressed memories of committing these horrible acts.
That made it even tougher, because then I'm thinking, you know, if you did this to your own children, you know, you deserve to be locked away.